Second, daf. Which daf are we in? Let me know. Tzaddik? Yeah. Daf tzaddik. A big tzaddik is Rabbi Lezer the tzaddik. We saw yesterday. You got the charts? Yeah. We saw. Ooh, the phone. We saw yesterday. Sorry. 1 minute. Yesterday we saw a four-facet opinion about what's going to be if a man and a woman, or not a lot of men and a woman, any two partners where one owns the goof and the other one owns the peros, doesn't have to be a man and woman, could also be some two partners. And what happened actually there? One of them hit the Eved so hard that the Eved died after 24 hours. Yoim o yoimaim. That means what? If you are the owner and only the owner, you have the privilege of, if you smacked the Eved too hard and he died, but did not die right away, he died after 24 hours, let alone a longer period of time, then the Odon himself does not go, is not being executed. Yeah, doesn't get the penalty. Only the Odon. And then we had the question, okay, in case of two people, one owns the goof, one owns the pairs, who's called the Odon? Will the right Odon step up, please, and identify himself? We saw four different opinions. Either we say that Rabbi Meir says Kinyan Paris is more important, especially here because working with the Eved working, meaning Paris means the Eved actually works for you, is what matters, especially over here. Yeah, because you're allowed to smack your Eved when he doesn't work right. When he's sleeping in bed 10 o'clock in the morning, you just whack him a little bit, not too hard. But then if he died too, late, so it's forgivable. Then what comes the other opinion of Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda says the other way. Goof, Kinyan Paris, not kicking in a goof dummy. The goof is the real ownership, the one who owns the body. If he killed him in a way that was, delayed reaction, he's potu. Then says Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says, I'm not sure if Kinyan Paris or Kinyan a goof. So what did we say? Sofek nefoshes la'okel. Both of them are potentially, possibly, maybe the Odon. And if the Odon should not be killed, then we don't kill either of them, because both of them are possibly the Odon that gets the exemption. And when it comes to life and death, we're being very, very careful before we kill anybody. Comes the last opinion, last but not least, Achron Choviv is Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Both of them are not in Yom Yomayim. None of them has Yom Yomayim applying to him. Why? So we said yesterday, and this is how we finished off, and we are now a few lines before the Mishnah at the end of the page. The Mishnah at the end of the page, and we say that Rabbi Eliezer says none of them in Yom Yomayim. Why? Omar Kro starts with the word Kro. Ki kaspoi hu, kaspoi hamiyuchad loi. Since the Torah says the word kaspoi, his money. Yes, the Eved is the property of the Odon. Kaspoi, it's his money. His money means his money, totally, wholly, comprehensively his. But if he's the owner of just the goof or just the payers, that's not called full ownership. Which means, Rashi says, if the owner, if you have two owners, one of them owns 50% and the other one owns 50%, I did my homework for a change and I checked on your question, we'll see soon in a few lines. Basically, if you own 50% of the Eved and the other one also 50%, not Kinyan Paris, Kinyan Goof. We bought an Eved together. I put in $500,000, you put in another $500,000. That's a good investment. It's almost as good as cryptocurrency. Yeah, half an Eved. How do we share him? Well, I like Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. And you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Shabbos, the guy sleeps all day long, whatever, barely goes to shul, the Eved. So then each day, if that's called full ownership of my half. But when I have only the goof, you only have the peros, that is to say, nobody owns one molecule in the body of the Eved is not fully owned by anybody, right? When he works for me on Sunday, he's not really mine. And by the way, it doesn't work for you, only for me, because I own the peros. On the other hand, you're the only owner of the goof. So the fact nobody has complete wholesome ownership over 1 millimeter in the Eved's body. So such lack of real full ownership, according to Rabbi Eliezer, is not called an ownership. And therefore, both of them whichever one smote him, whichever one hit him, and he died too late, will be executed. Why? Because none of them is his odon, and therefore none of them gets a special exemption of I'm the odon. Therefore, delayed reaction murder, not murder, delayed reaction killing is okay. None of them is the real odon to benefit from the special rights of the odon. So says Reb Lezer, and halacha is like Reb Lezer. Why is halacha like Reb Lezer out of all four opinions? Let's see now. Omar Rove. I hope you have it. The line starts with the word kaspoy. Omar Rove. My time with Reb Lezer. I'm sorry, we said that already. Omar Rove kaspoy michadlo. Sorry. Keman Azla. According to who does the following statement go? Yeah, who is? Yeah, we're going to see a statement now. Which one of the four is going to be the winner that the statement follows? Had Omar Ameimar. Ameimar is an Amoiro, and he said the follows. He says like this: Ish ve'isha shemochu b'nichse milug. A man and a woman both sold nichse milug. That's what we spoke about all the time, right? Let's say a man. Can a man sell nichse milug? Can a woman sell her nichse milug? Says Ameimar loy osu v'loy klum. They did not do anything, even if they did it together. Unbelievable. Wow. In other words, the woman sold her goof. That's not called. Yeah, let's say the husband did not want her to sell the goof, and she did. Or let's say he sold the Paris and she didn't want. They can all be me'akav in each other. And even if both of them did, without happy with the other side, it's not going to be a kinyan. Both Ish and Isha sold. It's not a sale. Why? And who does that follow? Keman. Who does that follow? That follows the fourth opinion, who is the winner of the game, and that is Reb Lezer. Why? Reb Lezer said you need full ownership. Now, right? So if you're not a full owner, you cannot sell because you're not really an owner of anything. I cannot sell you something which I have only. I'm giving an example now from yesterday's shiur. Just came to my mind. Baruch Hashem, shibud. Let's say, yeah, the house is mortgaged to someone. Can he sell it? Of course not. It's not full ownership. You can't sell something you don't fully own. You don't even own 1 millimeter in the Eved's body, right? Or even in the karka, because nothing of it is really fully yours. It's all partial rights you have there. So you cannot sell that. Now, of course, some people can argue and say, no, she can sell the Paris. She can sell the gold. I know that. He can sell the Paris. Rabbi Lezer says, no. We're going to see soon another statement. And according to Tosfos, the next statement will shed much more light on why they cannot sell. I'll be with your question soon before we get to the Mishnah. Now comes another question, and that will shed a lot of light on what we just saw now. Who said the following statement? A person is half an Eved, half ben choirin. That could be, let's say a person was owned by two people, an Eved was owned by two people. Okay. Now, one of them from Detroit, the other one from Louisiana. Yeah. One of them freed him, one of them kept him. So the Maisa, what happens then? He's free halfway, right? One of the masters set him free, the other one didn't. So what happens then? Then we say that he's half Eved, half Ben Choyren. Okay. An Eved belonging to two people, Reuben and Shimon together, they bought an Eved. En yoitzin b'rosh evorim shenan choizrin. Tzvi Rosen. Which means, let's say, yeah, we get to the Mishnah and then we can hear questions. Let's say, remember now the other halacha, don't get confused. I think people are confused about it. There are two separate halachas that are mentioned one next to the other in Parshas Mishpatim, but they're two different things. There are two things, two halachas to do with the relationship between the Odoin and the Eved, and both have to do with violence, but one of them is against the Eved, to speak in a childish way. One of them is for the Eved, which means one halacha we just saw now is for the Odoin. The Odoin also has rights. This Eved sleeps all day long. The Eved doesn't do anything. I spent $500,000 with my partner. I'm smacking him in order to get up to for work. Says Rambam, don't smack them too hard. Don't be achzorious. A Jewish person should not be an achzar. Yeah, but Lamaisa, if he hit him and then he died in a delayed reaction after 24 hours, which means that the smiting, the blow was not as bad, then the Odoin, we don't punish the Odoin. That's halacha number one. Halacha number two, which we're going back into, is what? If the Eved cut off was really too violent, and the Odin was too violent, and he cut off his nose, any of his toes, any of his fingers, his bris milah, did too much of a good bris milah, his ears, his nose, chas shalom. Then the Eved goes free. Ha 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 ha. Eved goes free. Why? That's for the Eved. If we see that the Eved is being abused as oid, so let's just free him and finish. He gets chayfish. Now, question again. If the Odin cut off his finger, the Eved goes free. If the next door neighbor cut off his finger, the next door neighbor has to pay good money to the Odin, but it doesn't go free. It's not the Odin's fault. So now comes again a question. You have two partners, okay? Those two partners both own the Eved, and now that Eved, one of the two partners, hit him so hard that he pulled out his teeth, he poked out his eye. None of them are called Em Yoitzin. He does not go free. Why? Because none of them is the master. None of them is the real master. Says Tosfos, why is none of them the real master? Must be, we're talking over here about what? About not regular two shutfim, I put $500,000, you put $500,000. Two shutfim of what? Of goof and payros. Because one only owns the goof and one only owns the payros, we don't view that as full ownership. Vis-a-vis Eved or even Karka. According to Blazer, it's not called full ownership. Just like you can sell it, you're not the Odin. You cut off his nose. There you have to, I don't know what has to be done. But Lamaisa, he doesn't go free because none of you is the master. And that's the answer to your question. Oh, wait, no, it's not your question. I'll repeat this question from yesterday. I opened the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo, and he says just that. He says the Eved belonging to two people, none of them has the status of a full Odin, that if he cut off his Rosh Evarim, he goes free. Now, he does not go free because none of them is the owner. He does not go free. I'm sorry. Now, Omer Lei, Rav Mordechai Rav Ashi, Achi, Rav Mordechai told Rav Ashi, Achi Amrim B'Shmei Dorove. That's what they said in Be'ef of Rove. Rabbi Lezer, that statement too, obviously, is Rabbi Lezer's statement. Just like when we spoke about what? About the halacha of the delayed reaction death. We said what? Then none of them is called really his Odin because it says kaspoi, his and only his money. Here too, when it says avdoi miyuchad loy. Avdoi means the word avdoi, his slave, his Eved is mentioned in the Torah regarding what? Cutting off his toe, cutting off his nose. Avdoi miyuchad loy. Says Tosfos. Now we understand why a man and a woman that own a karka, even though it has nothing to do with Eved, we derive that halacha from here. Just like going free, setting an Eved free is very similar to selling a karka. You sold the Eved to himself. He can now open his own business of, I don't know what, of cotton picking, yeah? So now Be'etzem is a free man. Okay, you freed him, but if you're not a full owner, you can't free the Eved, even accidentally, even by cutting off his nose. Okay. If so, we said a few lines ago, the same thing would go for a woman and a man that own a piece of land. None of them can sell it. You cannot free. So too, we extrapolate it and we say you cannot sell. I'm coming to answer now to these questions. We asked the question yesterday. What happens if you have two people who are not goof payros, regular partners? They bought the Eved together. I invested $500,000, the other one $500,000. I do Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. My partner gets him for Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Some people do the Ozeret, she's not a slave, but they get the Ozeret to come to different people. So now, what's going to be in such a case? It's not goof payros, regular own partnership. Let's say one of them cut off his finger. What's going to be? Machloikes. Pashtus, from what we see now in Mefurish in Tosfos, we say, yes, of course, that's called full ownership. I am the owner of over 50%. I'm not just goof, just pairs, just ride, just partial ownership. I'm fully owning Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. He's completely mine for those days. If I smacked him and I cut off his nose while he was working on Sunday, let's say, then he should go free, either completely or at least halfway free. At 50%, at least mine. What? Yeah. So then, okay, now, however, it's a machlokes. Some people say no. The Noise Kelim in the Shulchan Aruch, the Shach, I think, the Shach says no. The Shach wants to say against Tosfos, basing himself on the Bach before him. He says, no, even partners that are normal partners, 50-50 partners, even they, if one of them cut off his nose or something or poked out his eye, he still does not go free. Interesting. Very interesting. He says that the word kas boy means full ownership. No, Bechlal doesn't go free. He stays in Evid. Bechlal, Sunday through Shabbat. I said Tosfos. I said a different opinion. It's a machlokes. It's dispute between the opinions. In other words, everyone agrees. Let's summarize and then listen to the burich. Again, everyone agrees that, not everyone, everyone in halacha agrees to Rabbi Lezer, which is the winner out of 4 opinions. He's the one. Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer wins the case. So what? If you only own the goof, only own the parents, you're not a master, you're not an owner. And therefore, both halachas, the more liberal and the other one, both halachas don't apply to you. Because you're not owning anything. You're owning parents, goof, it's not ownership. That's Rabbi Lezer. That's for sure. Question is, machlokes rishonim, I mean, the Bach is not a rishon, but I guess he based himself on people before. Machlokes, meforshim, apoiskim, what happens if you are regular partners, 50-50, then it's a question whether you called an odon regarding cutting off his finger, would he go free, or do we say no? Here, there's a kosuv, avdoi has to be 100% yours. So next time you hit your Eved, please don't hit your Eved. That's not a nice thing to do. But if it happens to be by mistake that you cut off his thing, chas v'shalom, not a happy thing to happen, ask your local Orthodox rabbi whether your Eved goes free or not if you are just a regular partner with another partner as well. But the guy in the next plantation, he was, I know it's not a good example. I know. I'm sorry, Americans. I know. It's not. All these examples from the South States of America are not good. I know. Yeah. No, he was first, Baruch, unless you were Michael or he's been waiting for a very long time. Yeah, okay. Yes, Alan. Age before beauty. Story. So Yaakov asked a good question. On one hand, we came to this all very nice, clear conclusion that Rish Lakish is right. Kinyan Paris is not Kinyan Goof. The Goof owner, be it a woman, be it the son or the father in the other story, the Kinyan Goof is it. He can sell the Goof and the Paris guy can go home. Now, on the other hand, we see over here, a man and a woman who sell the land together, or even the land, not just an Eved. No, the sale is not a sale. We pass can look at Blazer that none of them has full ownership. I'll tell you what I think. And it's a good question. I have to look in this in the Rishonim. Thank you for the question. I think the following. The previous sugya spoke consistently, man, woman, husband, wife. That was all called post-mortem. The whole mechira was after the death of one of the parties. Absolutely. The son goes to someone and says, listen, my dad still eats the Paris every month. I have tremendous kibud av, and I'm very happy he gets a 5,000 every month. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting. And right now I'm owning the goof, and I'm selling you now the goof with an afkamina that after dad is niftar, then you'll be the owner already retroactively because I'm giving you the goof, but the nafkamina will only start after the death. So that works because Lamaisa, I do own the goof now enough to sell it as potential for the future when everything will be mine. Masha'enkin, this story, I think, from reading the Gemara superficially, nobody spoke here after death. A man and a woman are alive, kicking. They both go to the gym together every day. The perfect family, white picket fence, and the young and healthy 35. Who thinks about dying? Yeah, and they're saying now we have nichse milug. We want to sell it now. We want Mashiach now. We want to sell now. That doesn't work because now you don't own anything in particular. Get what I'm saying? Right now, you can't sell something that the other spouse or the other partner is riding over. Kachni really. I don't know. I didn't see it anywhere, but I think that's a story. Well, Rabbi Yochanan talks about, yes, I have enough now, although there's somebody else sitting on my head, which is the husband or the wife, but I do have it enough that when the other guy will die, then it will maximize the potential, and then it will work. Then it will kick in. So I think that's a good answer to the question. It sounds like that from the vibe of the Gemara. However, let me check it inside. That's going to be the end of the round, guys. It's been more questions than a shiur today. Next Mishnah. Exactly. Everyone talks about rights today instead of like, what can you do to others? What's your duty? It's my right, my right, my right. Says the Mishnah. I was in Gibraltar now. I saw there were two Afghanis there. One of women claiming women's rights and then one of men claiming men's rights. Not in the same place. Says the Mishnah, coming soon. Says the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah. Atoikeya lechavero. Ellen, your big moment is arriving soon. You kept asking, how do we evaluate the boishes, right? Let's see. Atoikeya lechavero. The Mishnah now is going to basically give us a price list, so to speak, a mechiron of, how much should one pay if he hit his friend, and we're only focusing now on boishes. Yes, somebody in the middle of the street went to his friend outside shul. It happened here in the neighborhood. No, a person came and smacked his friend in the face. What's the price list? How much should he pay him? Says the Mishnah, Tokel Chavero. Tokel Chavero doesn't mean to shofar, although some say that. Tokel Chavero basically means that he hit him on the ear. I don't know why the ear. As always, the Rishonim, a few Rishonim have seen here. They say a tokeh is either like a fist in the ear or like this in the ear, like maybe tokeh is like a sound, right? When you hit the ear, there's like this funny sound. Some say tokeh mamish, like he blew in his ear, like like little children like to do like that, or like in a shofar, with for Purim, the Purim a chatzaitra, the trumpet blew into the ear, and the guy was startled and was embarrassed by that. So, no, that's not the case here. Yeah, but that's not the case. He did not become deaf. No, it's not physical here. Noisen lo sela. He has to give him a sela. Sela is expensive. Sela is the most expensive, most worthy currency of the main 6 matbois in the times of Chazal. There is sela, dinar, ma'a, pundion, isar, and pruta. These are the main 6 ones. There are others, all kinds of others. So sela, that's like give him the gold coin. Wow. He says, no, give him 100 zuz. 100 zuz is basically much more, is one zuz. One zuz is worth 4. One sela is 4 dinorim. So that is 25. Because 100 divided to 4 is 25. Sorry. Yeah? Yes. Sela is 4 zuzim. Yeah. Yeah. So it's 25. So it's for 25. Okay. Money. Okay. Much more, says Rabbi Yehuda on behalf of Rabbi Yossi Glili. Sotroi, let's say he slapped him on the face. Look. Yes, Sotroi, it's much worse. The Mishnah sees that as a bigger bizoin. On the ear, like a maybe funny thing, it's more in the corner, less visible, it's not in your face, as we say in English. The steer, a strong smack, a slap on the face. It's a slap on my face, as they say. So noiselo mosaim zuz, 200 zuz. The price list goes up. Le'achar yodo, if he went like this, from behind his hand like that, and he slapped him stronger and with the back of the hand. Not like this, which can also be interpreted maybe as like Ravadi used to do that. Yeah, but this is more like violent and accentuated. Then noiselo arbamot zuz, double the price, 400 zuz. Now tzoram beoznoi. Let's say tzoram beoznoi would mean that he pulled his ear. He pulled his ear. Somebody told me he was in London and he came to a shul. The shul is very big, empty. And he sat in the seat. A guy came in London and he took him by the ear. They were both adult people, by the ear, and pulled him to another seat. And he said, "That's my seat where you're sitting." Yeah, that's very royal finesse. So, the guy pulled him by the ear. Tolash Besaroi, he pulled out his hair. Cannot do it to me. Yeah, Tolash Besaroi, he pulled out his hair. Rokat Digia Boyroikoi, he spat in him, and the spittle reached the target. Yeah, he spat in his face. Evir Talisa Mimeno, or he removed the talis from him. Doesn't mean he's naked, but talis is like an upper garment. You're walking down the street with your jacket and somebody pulls off your jacket, making you feel funny, not comfortable, in your skin. Or Pora Roisha Isha Bashuk, he uncovered the woman's hair in the shuk, in the middle of the street. Yeah, he took her tichel off her head, ha 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 ha, and he thinks very funny. So all these bizyonis are expensive. All this spitting, uncovering the man partially, uncovering the woman's hair, all that is worth 400 zuz. The famous Gemara in Brochus, yeah, Rab Zera, I think it was, that he pulled out the red coat from a lady, and because it was priestess, but then you found out she was a goiter. So now he had to pay her 400 zuz. She was not Jewish, Kutis. Yeah, she was a Gentile, a Kutis, whatever that is. So the tznius doesn't apply to her as much. So mainly he had to pay her 400 zuz. Yeah, she did it even though she wasn't Jewish. Interesting. Zaklal. But now comes the Mishnah and says, well, how can you make a regular price list? Depends on the person. Zaklal, Amud base. Hakol lefik voidoi. Everything goes according to the person's kovoid, which means this is a good price list for X type of people. But let's say the people are more respectable or less respectable. Let's say the person you hit is a homeless person. Of course, you have to be mechabed everybody. That homeless guy is used to being smacked every other day. No life, no family. Nobody looks at him. That's not like smacking the face of a rabbi. Well, somebody choshev, whatever, of the head of CEO, something. So, let's assume now. Rashi says we'll see in the Gemara whether it's a kula or a chumrah. But here we're trying to say that this is the higher price. Let's assume for now that this is the high price. 400 zuz is a lot. That's the high price. That's for the choshev a woman, the wife of, or I don't know, the big menaheles. She's the choshev woman. You took off her tichel or you spat in her face. You have to pay her 400. But somebody less choshev, somebody is not so choshev a woman, choshev a man, you pay less. Let's assume that. Meaning the price list that we saw is at the peak of the graph. Yeah. Amar Rabbi Akiva, I disagree. Says Rabbi Akiva, even the poorest people of the Jewish nation, roin oisam, we should view them. We should the hashkafa we should have. We should view them as rich people, bnei chorin, that happen to unfortunately lose their fortune. What does that mean? Let's continue, and then I'll explain. Shem bnei Avram, Yitzchak, veYaakov. We're all children of royalty, which means, says Rabbi Akiva, it's true that that guy, as long as he's Jewish, he is a misken, he is a homeless guy, he is a prisoner, half the time he's in and out of jail, he doesn't covet. What's his big covet? I smacked his face, I have to start giving him 200. Says Rabbi Akiva, yes. Why? Because every Jew, even if he's poor, you should view him as if he's a rich man that basically lost his money, as they say, from riches to rags, right? Oh, from rags to riches. No, there's both ways. Yeah, I know all the fairy tales, but it works the other way too, Lolenu. It works the other way too, Chas v'shalom. So Bekitzer, one second, I'll show you, which means a person who used to be rich and noble from a very noble family, so such a person has much more self-respect. Yeah, now he lost his money. So what? He's still a very choshev a mensch. He's an important person, and therefore, even if the Jewish person that you hate is poor and you think that he doesn't care, he does care, and we should treat him as somebody who cares. We should treat him as son of royalty because he is the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All of us were, oh boys, you can't imagine the chashivas, and they're also rich, by the way. All shloshes of us were rich. The Meforshim explains, so they should do kiruv and ashko. They had to be rich and famous. Yes, I'm listening. Yeah, go ahead. Now, now comes another nekuda, another point. Once a person uncovered a woman's head in the middle of the shuk. I hope she was not a Satmar Chassidus there, so she's bald. So I don't know if she was bald or not bald, but he uncovered her hair in the middle of the shuk. Bas lifnei Rabbi Akiva. She came in front of Rabbi Akiva. Says Rabbi Akiva, Mister, I don't care if this woman is a choshuv or not choshuv. Rabbi Akiva says we're all equals, and therefore that lady gets the standard, the high standard of 400 zuz. Pay her 400 zuz now. Amaloi, Rabbi. This guy was smart, and he told Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi, Penlizman, give me time. I wanna place her in trick over here. Give me time until I pay her the 400 zuz. And he had a scheme. The Nosan Loizman, Rabbi Akiva says, okay, I'm giving you time in so-and-so time. You'll have to pay her. I'm delaying the payment that he didn't say I'm playing a trick, by the way. It's my words. I'm giving you time until you come up with the money to pay her. Look what the guy did. Shomro. Shomro means he waited for her, not guarded her. Like Vaviv Shomar Esadovo. He waited for the lady. Basically, he ambushed her. And he saw her and he waited until she went out to the door, to the outer door of her chotzer, basically between Rishus HaYochid and the Rabbim. She's now facing Rishus HaRabbim, just outside the doorstep. The Shavar Esekad Befaneha, he broke on purpose, he broke a jug in front of her. Uboy Ke'isar Shemen. That jug had oil worth 1 isar. 1 isar is not much. If you remember the list I told you before, isar is almost the second lowest currency. It's not expensive. He went to Asherat, bought a little bit of oil, and now she had the spilled oil in front of her. Oh, what a shame. What did she do? Gil says Roisha, she uncovered her own hair. She collected the oil because why should it go to waste? And she uncovered her hair in order to put the oil on her hair. Gel. Like, you have all these creams and gels. They had it back then also. She wanted her hair to look nice for her husband indoors. So although she was in the street, she uncovered the hair in the street in order to take the oil and smear it and anoint herself. Al Roisho, upa. He was not stupid. He had Adim watching that happening. That's a good lawyer. I think that's the world's first lawyer. He came to Rabbi Akiva with the photos. He had the photos in the smartphone. He had the two Adim testifying. Omer le Rabbi Akiva. I told Rabbi Akiva, excuse me, Rabbi, to that lady I'll give 400 zuz. She is my plaintiff. And she says, oh, you uncovered my hair. That's such a shame. Oh, I've felt so embarrassed and degraded as a woman. And what? Now she herself is doing the same to herself. For 1 isar, for 1 tiny amount of oil worth isar, she was willing to uncover her hair in public. So she's not such a big tzaddikas that she cares about the hair uncovered. So I have to pay 400 zuz. I don't have to pay 400 zuz. Her hair covering in her eyes is worth less than an isar. That's a good taina. That's a lawyer. Unfortunately, no. Omer le answered Rabbi Akiva, loy omert klum. You said nothing. How do you say? Case closed. Yeah, objected, Your Honor. No, objection. Case dismissed. Case dismissed. You said nothing. Why did you say nothing? Why? I think that's a very nice taina. Continues the Mishnah, and now you see the connection. A person hits himself. Unfortunately, there are people today. What does he do? He cuts his unfortunately, together with drug abuse and alcohol abuse, another thing people do, they cut their body. They do cuts to the body. It's a big problem today. A person, a youngster, does cuts to his hands, to his legs, whatever. You're not allowed to do that halachically. We'll discuss it later. You're not allowed to harm yourself or to injure yourself. Self-mutilation. Try. That's self-mutilation. Yes. You're not allowed to self-mutilate yourself and bring some, that. Potur. You yourself are potur. In other words, you're not going to pay yourself. You're asking what's the chiddush. You'll see soon. You'll see it in Tosfos. Potur. Let's say a person, lo aleinu, that youngster is in trouble emotionally, and he cuts himself every once in a while. Comes a friend that doesn't like him, and the friend cuts him. And the friend would say to Beis Din, what? That's ridiculous. He's suing me for cutting him. He cuts himself all day long. No. The other person is chayav. Just because somebody does self-injury, self-mutilation, does not mean the other person can do the same, which makes a lot of sense. The fact he does it to himself was genichtong. Now, what's the chiddush of potur? Let's just ask in the next daf. Of course, it's potur. The pshat is maybe ptur is the general thing. Maybe that person who harms himself is the general ptur. Maybe other people are potur also. Maybe he's out of that halacha. Yeah. If a person cuts himself, maybe cutting him is okay because there's like a general exemption, general ptur on that person. Kamash Mala, no. He does it to himself. And we're not saying it's his right to do that. It's wrong. But the Meister is not going to pay himself. What can he do? The other person who does it is different. In other words, same thing over here. Just because of that woman is what? Embarrassing herself in public. We're not also talking about halachos of tznius. It's just an embarrassment for a woman to be in the street without a hair cover. Yeah. Mimela, Aisha embarrassed herself. That's her choice. It's a bad choice. Nobody endorses her. That's her cheshbon with herself and a Kodesh Baruch in a society, and she wants that. It does not mean you can do the same to yourself. You know what I'm saying? A guy makes fun of himself, I don't think the same guy would be happy if other people would say to him, would make fun of him, right? It's not the same. I'm the owner of myself, so to speak. Doesn't mean others can do the same. I promise you, give me half a second to finish the Mishnah and I'll listen to you. Let's say a person cuts off his own trees, which are nice. Nitia is a sapling. There's a nice young tree sapling that's about to grow, and he cut off the tree. And that tree, let's say, is fruit-bearing tree. It's also, you're not allowed to do that because that's called Baal Tashchis. Potter, you're potter, you're not going to pay anybody. If other people cut off his trees and they say, what? This guy cares that I cut off his trees? He does it to himself every day. This guy got cut chops of fruit trees, beautiful fruit trees for nothing, for playing with his kids, for maybe the fire, even for pricelist. But I cut and he's coming to me. Yes, yes. The fact he harms himself or his property does not mean you can harm his property too. The Kamina Lamais, yeah, you cannot go to a more modern person or Chiloni that has his jeans. You cannot cut off his jeans. Yeah, you see everyone walking around with cut off jeans full of tears and cuts. Absolutely crazy. Does not mean you can go in the middle of the night to Yaron's house in Tel Aviv and cut off his jeans and rip them off. No, he does it to himself. That's not. You cannot go to Yaron or whoever in Baal and go to their cupboard in Tel Aviv and cut over the jeans pants. That's their cheshbon. If you do that, they can take you to basement. And no, he's been patient. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, and then we continue, and then you. Yeah. What? Or hair covering? Yes. No questions from now on whatsoever. Not even a tiny question. There's a question. Money. We said that according to the opinion here, a person who, what did he do? He basically hit his friend with a fist in the ear, has to pay money. Money is 100 zuz. But as you probably remember from Daf Lamed Vav, I think, I don't know, there are two sets of values in the times of the Mishnah, Suri and Medina. Suri, meaning all these coins, yeah, there's Suri and there's Medina. Yeah, just like there's Australian dollar and American dollar, Canadian dollar, American dollar, yeah, whatever, British pound and, I don't know, Jordanian pound, whatever. So too, there's Suri and Medina. Suri is 8 times more than Medina. Wow. So when you talk about money, you have to know how much. Is it the big Suri, the one worth, yeah, the times 8, or is it the Medina, which is divided by 8? Ibailu, money Surit nan, or money Medina nan? Are we talking about big money, or are we talking about Medina? Toshma, come and listen. There was really a case, a man, what did he do? He basically had a fist in his friend's ear, or he blew a shofar too strong in his ear. Ha ha ha. Also, he came in front of Rabbi Yehuda Anosi. Wow. Omerle, Rabbi Yehuda Anosi Paskin is a Dayan, and he said, Ho ano, or Rabbi Yossi Aglili. There's both me and Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Remember that line is going to be a very key line. He says, listen, there's me, and there's Rabbi Yossi Aglili, and therefore, Havle Monet Suri. And therefore, I Paskin, what you should give him Monet Suri. Oh no, wow, wow, wow. Give him the big one, the 800 one, the 8 times 1. Shmamino, Monet Suri Tan, Shmamino. From that psak alochel ma'isa, from no other than Rabbi Yehuda Anosi, can get better than that. We know clearly that the amount of money you have to pay for shaming your friend, for embarrassing your friend, is not the Zimbabwe dollar, it's the American dollar, not the Zimbabwe dollar. It's not a Medina, it's a Tsuri. Okay, now the question is, and that question is going to stay with us for, unfortunately, no time. What exactly did he mean when he said, there is me and there is Rabbi Yossi Glili? What is kind of esoteric statement? Is he saying we both think the same? So what does it say? Ilema, maybe he meant as follows. That's what he told him. He's trying to corner him and tell him, listen, mister, I saw you doing it. There is me, meaning I saw you doing actual. I am actually an aid. There's probably another aid because you need 2 aidim. Okay. One of the aidim is me. No. The Rabbi Yossi Aglili, the Omer Monet Suri. Basically, probably was nifta already. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says Monet Suri. I am an Ed. I saw this happening, so don't tell me stories. And I have another guy. Plus, Rabbi Yossi Aglili, who lived before me, he passed him the kind of money you have to pay is the big one, the monetzuri. Zil havle monetzuri. So now I give him monetzuri based on my testimony and Rabbi Yossi Aglili's existing psak of big money, tzuri, go and pay him tzuri. Lememra. Now, that is to say, the Ed Nasa Dayan. Oh, we're coming to the same sugi again and again in Rosh Hashanah Daf Chavov, in Bava Basra, we saw it in different places. Ed Nasa Dayan. What does Ed Nasa Dayan mean? You are basically playing here both two roles in the same show. Yeah, when the cast, the people in the show, he's the king, she's the queen, and he is the Haman. Here, you're playing two games in one shot. What are you doing? You're the aide, you saw it happening, and you also become the Dayan. You are Biuda Nosi, are also the Poisek Halacha, telling him to pay. Is that so? I mean, I would say that's okay. What's the problem? Well, he saw it with his own eyes. So of course he can pass him. Yeah? Lot says Tosis, Lot Shmi Agdol Maria. If the Onim can listen to some two characters or Edim to tell them that somebody smacked his friend, if the Dayan himself, a Choshev Rabbi Yehuda Nosi, he saw the person smacking the friend, of course he can be a Dayan. That seems to be the story. Okay. The Tanya, give me one more minute. Tanya, it says in the Brisa, not like that. We have to finish now. So tomorrow, I was planning on doing the Tosfos. That's to do with Edna Sadayan. Tomorrow, there will be a Shiur at Hashem 9 o'clock. You can be here. You can be by Zoom. You can be shopping in wherever you want. Or you can, it will also be online in Mirz Hashem, 9 to 9:30. A shorter Shiur tomorrow to be mashlim the Shiur of Monday. Please remember the Shiur tomorrow at 9 im Yirtzeh Hashem. And what? And we'll see the Hemshech of the Gemara and the Tosfos. Mirz Hashem. Thank you very much. Yishar Koyach. Thank you. Kol Tuv. Have a great Shabbos.